Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with a top 5 video for you today. This is my third and final video celebrating unique and inspirational filmmakers that all really made their names in the 1980s. I previously covered Sam Raimi and Tim Burton, and today we're getting down to the meat and potatoes, the real prestige of this list. The Coen brothers, Ethan and Joel Coen, were born in 1954 and 1957 respectively in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is a town that's not really having the best summer, to say the least. The Coen brothers have gone on to win like four Oscars apiece, at least. Been nominated in pretty much any category they've been eligible for, and have made some of the best movies of their lifetime. I mean, the Coen brothers films are almost a genre unto themselves. My dad even recently pointed out that there's Coen brothers movies that weren't made by the Coen brothers. You know, that still that kind of theme, that genre. Films like Cut Bank and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, very Coen-esque. But I've said before that I think, well, again, the whole thing, the whole sidetrack thing, about I think Martin McDonald or Donald, was it Michael McDonald? Whatever his name is, the guy who did Three Billboards. He also did Seven Psychopaths, and he also did something else. But yeah, In Bruges or Bruges, whatever. Definitely seems to be thematic. Bring his own originality to other styles of filmmakers. Like, you could make the argument that Seven Psychopaths was a Tarantino style film, and whatnot. Guy Ritchie does the best non-Tarantino movies. I'm rambling. Anyhow, let's get into the top 5 best Coen brothers films. At least my personal picks. Number 5, Barton Fink. Barton Fink is an odd one. I do believe it was kind of notorious at the time when it came out for being a bit of a box office dud. And where I almost had a tie here between it and Miller's Crossing, because Barton Fink was heavily inspired by their experience of working on Miller's Crossing, and in and of it itself is so magnificent. But I decided to go with Barton Fink because of its truly unique style. More than any other movie they've made, you could probably make the strongest argument for Barton Fink being a horror movie. And it's not really a horror movie, it's just surreal. It's not 100% surreal, but it is surreal. Great charismatic performances from John Goodman and Tony Shalhoub, as always. Terrific performance from Judy Davis and John Mahoney, an Oscar-nominated performance by Michael Lerner, and of course, one of the few lead roles John Turturro has had in his career, and he's absolutely amazing in it. Barton Fink is a character who isn't really sympathetic, but all the madness you see him go through, just as basically, since you're walking through it with him as part of the audience, you just kind of want him to make it through everything that's happening, just so you feel like you would make it through kind of situation. The whole setup with wrestling pictures has always been a gag to me. I always thought there's no such thing as wrestling pictures. This is an actual genre, not like football, baseball, or boxing movies. But hell, man, you watch enough wrestling with Regret turn out, there's a shitload of fucking wrestling pictures. What do you need, a roadmap? Love Barton Fink. Number 4, The Big Lebowski. Oh, by the way, Barton Fink's a story about a pretentious playwright gets called out to Hollywood to write a wrestling movie, but he can only really tell one story. He's very pretentious and very, very full of himself, and not really that talented, in all honesty. And he slowly gets caught up in not so much a mystery, but slowly, but starts to suspect and come to realize that his next door neighbor and new best friend is most definitely a serial killer, and maybe even a demon. Number 4, The Big Lebowski. Not the Little Lebowski, The Big Lebowski. Big Lebowski is great. It's a story of Jeff Bridges as Jeff Lebowski, or as he prefers to be called, the Dude. He is mistaken for a local millionaire or billionaire, whatever it is, and gets caught up in this very random not random, Random Chandler. That could be a good name for a wrestler. Raymond Chandler esque kind of story, but there's the Philip Marlowe, instead of just being a sucker for a sob story, he's just a sucker all around. uh, in my opinion, Jeff Bridges' best performance of his entire career. He's absolutely great as the dude. Again with John Goodman, I mean, I might have to do a list eventually, because I've been thinking of talking. I mean, I've been working my way around. I might have to do a top 5 John Goodman list soon. He's kind of an unappreciated actor, considering how many movies he's done and how many of them have been so high profile. Kind of strange that he's never gotten a single Oscar nomination over the years. Hell, I think he was in like 3 Best Picture winners in a row there. Maybe not that many. It was at least 2 in a row with The Artist and Argo. I'm thinking on what one that. Anyhow, the Big Lebowski is terrific. It's a very, very quotable movie, a very, very iconic movie. A very, very funny film, and he still holds up. And its irrelevance and madness, how, no one learns anything, no one answers for their crimes, really. It's just a absurd and it's Chandler. It is the Raymond Chandler story without the Raymond Chandler class, I guess. It's great. The Big Lebowski is fucking great. And, oh my god, how many memes have they gotten out of that one scene with Sam Elliott over the years? Number 3, I will say, True Grit. True Grit is, well, fucking True Grit's great. True Grit was, it was a daunting task for them to take on such a project. Even at its time, I mean, it was a movie John Wayne won his Oscar for, so it was clearly even then considered something different and outside the box for what Westerns and the Duke were doing. Richard Cogburn is a great and conflicted and, just meaty character. Maddie Ross, what a great character she is. Matt Damon getting to finally bring some real character and charisma to the character of LaBeef. I mean, Glenn Campbell wasn't awful in the old one, but you could tell, I could tell even as a kid that this guy wasn't a professional actor. And when my dad told me he was a country singer, I was like, yeah, I could tell. Kim, can't remember her name, but Kim, whatever the girl who played Maddie Ross, she was terrific in the old movie, but Haley Steinfeld is just amazing in the remake. And then there's shit like Carter Burwell's score, the photography, the costumes. It is wonderfully played. I have come across one criticism, mostly from friends and family members who have the same kind of admiration for John Wayne movies that I have told me over the years that they kind of thought Jeff Bridges wasn't that great. Where John Wayne was kind of stepping out of his comfort zone and doing something different, Jeff Bridges kind of just fell back on the same old cowboy accent he used for Wild Bill. And, that's true. That's true. But I still think he was great in it and the man for the role. And, yeah, just because he's not John Wayne. What do you want? There's only one John Wayne. If John Wayne could have been replaced, don't you think we would have made a movie about the motherfucker by now? Next up, number 2, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is the story of True Grit. But I tell you this, explained to the same way I explained it to my daughter. Well, not the exact same way, but I told her the movie True Grit was basically the story about a girl who hires a lawman to help her track down the son of a bitch who killed her daddy. And that's all you need to know about it. Number 2 is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Because, it is one of the most rewatchable and quotable movies of my lifetime of the last 20 plus years. It is incredibly charismatic and memorable and charming film. You gotta love it, and it's you could talk about how it plays into the Odyssey, but even though it takes strong inspiration from the Odyssey, but still in very many ways feels like it's a very own unique and special thing. It is a great movie. Believe it or not, it got fucking 2 thumbs down when it came out. Just baffling to me. Some of the best use, if not the best use, of previously established music in movie history. Directors like Stanley Kubrick and Philip Kaufman like to do stuff like that a lot. And I think this is some of the best example of that kind of approach. A lot of the songs used in that movie were nearly 100 years old, if not some of them older. Especially stuff like Big Rock Candy Mountain and Man of Constant Sorrow became popular again in my lifetime. In the 21st century, that's crazy. Uh, but then you add on shit like amazing performances from all three main guys. All three main guys, George Clooney, John Turturro, and Tim Blake Nelson. Yes, I could go on and on about fucking how brilliant and hysterical and funny George Clooney is in it, but they're all great. And I talk about the quotability. Oh my god, I could just I'm gonna try to avoid saying a single line from that movie because I will get caught. I will get stuck in a loop here, just saying the whole fucking script for it just out of context and randomly. I will say the one thing. Holly Hunter's great line. The best thing you ever did for them girls was get hit by that train. But I mean, yeah, it is the Odyssey. A man returning from, in this case, it's prison, but in the adventures it's war. He comes across the sirens, the Cyclops. When he gets home, there's a suitor who is taking his home. This is all Homer. Which is, that's a fucking adventure story right there, man. If you've never seen, God forbid I ask you to read, but if you've never seen the 1995 miniseries starring Armand Assante or the 1950s film starring Kirk Douglas, dude, just seek them out. Seek them out. If you appreciate mythology and adventure, these are must sees. And that leaves with my number one. Number one, when I had to come down to, because we're talking about the absolute essential Coen Brothers, the absolute best work, it has to be Fargo. Fargo is an iconic film, brilliantly mastered film, very funny, very dark, and more than any movie they've ever done, really captures that Coen-esque, that Coen magic of giving actors who just have like one scene, and maybe not even be professional actors or star actors, chance to work with things, bring something out of real naturalistic scenes. My favorite scene in Fargo is the scene where the old timer is describing Steve Buscemi to the cop. Oh, he was just your basic kind of funny looking kind of little fella. That guy. It's just a great movie. And I can talk about the darkness of it, incredible humor. Like when you think about stuff like I'm talking about those little scenes with actors. I think about a movie like A No Country for Old Men. Seriously, when I mentioned that movie, just a second, the first scene that came to your mind was the gas station scene, wasn't it? The friendo scene. It's none of the high drama. It's not even a scene that has anything to do with the story, because that is that brilliant way that Coen Brothers can just use dialogue and take advantage of unique and interesting people and really flourish with it. They're brilliant. The Coen Brothers are fucking brilliant. They have all these Oscars and all this adulation for a goddamn reason. I forgot to tell you about my Tim Burton movies in the last video. I'm sorry, I was kind of rushing through. I'm not going back to. That's 10 Tim Burton movies. I'm not doing it. I might do it a different time. But Blood Simple is a terrific movie. It's one of the best kick to the nuts in movie history. One of, not the best, but one of. Maybe the best is probably Billy Crystal and So Mama from the Train. Raising Arizona is an absolutely great movie. I was talking about it with my wife last night. I don't think she's ever seen it. Fucking Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter are both amazing in it. Trey Wilson is just fantastic. I don't know if I've ever seen any other film that this actor was in. I guess he died shortly after this movie was made, or at least died before the end of the 80s. It's sad, you know. Miller's Crossing, I talked about, amazing movie. The Hudsucker Proxy is... Okay, no, it's not that great. It's not good at all. Intolerable Cruelty is easily their worst movie. The Lady Killers, a lot of people shit on that movie, but I thought it was funny as hell, but, in all honesty, I never saw the original movie, so, a lot of the criticisms come from it's not as good as the old one, or not faithful enough. No Country for Old Men, I thought was very overrated. I think is ultimately a meaningless movie about bad people that ultimately comes off as just depressing and just an all around downer. I'm trying to think of the word misanthropic, maybe. I'm probably saying that wrong. I've been drinking. Burn After Reading is terrific. Absolutely brilliant movie. Utterly hysterical. Frances McDormand, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, John Malkovich, and Tilda Swinton are all hysterical. A Serious Man, I enjoyed. I enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't think it was as great as a lot of their other movies, but I definitely thought it was an entertaining movie. And Hail Caesar, it's I guess it's a bit disappointing. Got some great moments for it. Clooney's great in it. Josh Brolin's great in it. I love the scene of all the religious leaders sitting around talking movies. It's funny. They get around with the movie producer. They don't want to argue religion at first. They eventually start arguing religion, but they want to talk about movies. I love that. And of course the singing and dance scene. Channing Tatum. Just getting to see Channing Tatum do some Gene Kelly's shit was a treat, in all honesty. And there's two films of theirs I just haven't seen. The Man Who Wasn't There and Inside Llewyn Davis. I don't have an excuse for those two films. I was always interested in, wanted to see. Seemed right up my alley and just never got around to. And I'm not counting The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I don't care if it was nominated for Academy Awards. It was a fucking Netflix movie. And as I've said before, this is my hill. I will die on. Don't worry. I will not shoot you till I see the whites of your eyes. Anyhow, hope y'all enjoyed this list. Hope you check out my other stuff. I want to get back to doing... I'm going to do my July old school wrestling video soon. I want to do some of the videos I haven't done in a long time, some of them over a year. I want to do a second legacy video, which I did a great video I'm very proud of about John Candy, who I think was a treasure. I did that about a year ago. If you can find it, go check it out. It's not in any of my playlists, unfortunately. You'll have to scroll through it. But, I'd appreciate it. I want to do another one of those for another great legend, maybe like a Bela Lugosi or a Peter O'Toole. I would love to do another My Favorite Year, where basically I just stay up, play as hell, get really drunk, and talk about every single movie released from a single year that I've seen. Every one of them. I've done two of those, and the second one I had to post in two videos because it was over 40 minutes long. But hey, it was fun to shoot. Anyhow, I hope y'all come back and check out those videos. Also, I've decided I'm going to do a top 5 best Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies other than the original, if that makes sense. Anyhow, I hope y'all like these. Come back and check it out. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.